We start the show. Mr. Gamer, how are you doing? King Steez, thank you for the confirmation. Welcome everybody to the Overthinking Football Show. I do this every Monday to Friday, 12:30 in the afternoon, and then Monday to Wednesday, I'm back again at 8 p.m. so we can continue having really cool footballing discussions. And then also, if you miss out on any of the shows, if you want to know what's happening behind the scenes, what we've spoken about previously and all of that stuff, you can find that on Facebook and on YouTube. Overthinking Football on Facebook, the Overthinking Football Show on YouTube. The links are in my profile. Click on the main link in my profile. It'll take you to the other links, and you can follow the pages there. They also have some really cool other footballing content that I do that is not on TikTok. If you're on Facebook and you want to add your voice to the show, just know that you can. You have to be following me on TikTok. Join on TikTok when I'm live. Then there comes a time, a portion in the show when I'll say I'm going to open it up, and then a button will appear at the bottom of the screen that says multi-guest, and you can join me there. So guys, tonight's an open discussion. So guys, send me some topics of what you guys want to speak about. How it usually works is that I'll write down 2 or 3 of them, and then we can discuss some of the questions we have, or some of the things that maybe you saw you'd like to talk with me and to others about, and we can take it from there. While I wait for those topics, I just want to make Kambala Day. Guys, please, leave me with this Kambala stuff. I don't want to hear about National Kambala Day, Happy Kambala Day. Please, Lord Kambala did a job on us. Please, leave me alone. There we go. We've got Bafana squad. We've got menu drama. Okay, what's going on with Eric Ten Hag? Oh, we're looking overseas today. Is Percy done? Foster or Lepasa up top. That's a good one. Or Lepasa up top. Hey, I don't wanna start with the Coach Busi one. Coach Busmuzi said that he'll probably come on the show at some point. And we can speak to him about him. For those who don't know, friend of the show, Coach Busmusi Vilagazi, has gotten a new job. It was announced over the weekend that he had left his job as one of the co-head coaches at Golden Arrows, and now he's going to be the technical director over at Chippa United. Right, he's going to be in charge of everything to do with development and also behind the scenes for the first team. So I think it's a step up. And at least now we know somebody who's a technical director, and hopefully we can ask him about that. Do you think Liverpool need a DM? Let's see. I'm writing them down. I haven't done an international show in a very long time, so. Let's get some meaty questions, guys. Let's get some meaty questions. I'm seeing a lot of them will be a one go around. Also, other breaking news: Gaston Serino is now a South African citizen. So for those who are asking Bafana questions, now there's another option for us. Even though it doesn't look like he's in Coach Rulani's plans like that. Is South African football good enough to win the AFCON? AFCON. Okay. What we'll do is I'm going to combine these Bafana questions. Then we can touch on what's happening over there by Man United. We can make it an open last segment where we'll speak about Man United, Arsenal, Chelsea. How about that? Because they seem to be in different places and there's questions that we can ask about them. So I'm going to open up the lines. We're going to start off with the Bafana stuff, and then we can go into We can talk about a little bit of the overseas stuff. Okay. So, if you're on TikTok, you will see that at the bottom of your screen, your multi-guest button should have appeared. You have to be following me in order to jump onto the panel. And then, send a request and I'll put you guys in. I'm seeing a lot of Ten Hag. Guys, what's going on, Manchester United fans? You guys had told me that you were going to win the league last season. You told me all of these things that were happening. But now it seems, Ngati, you're turning around. Oh, that's a hot take, Kabelo. That is a very hot take. Prampo, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Goodbye, good one. And good evening, all my Jitamo. I don't know, mostly it's autist. Even my sisters, everything.
Yeah.
Greetings.
Okay. Lemona with the question here about the Bafana squad, right? Firstly, what are your thoughts about the Bafana squad?
Who's gonna
As for me, the challenge that I'm having, like this Ric Flair. What a Ric Flair. What a lot again. The way, not I'm saying because I'm supporting Chiefs. As a national coach, you are there to pick what is the best 11 or whatever. You understand? You can't make remarks about other team. And if I guarantee you, if it was black coach, I'm telling you, they will be on his case. But because it's white, nothing is done to that guy.
And it's not the first time, because he did it with Sundowns as well at the beginning when he started. Remember when he said he's not going to pick Sundowns players or something to that effect? He's done this before.
Because those people like now, they undermine our sock. Our management, they don't take this thing seriously. If it was possible, I was going to say, okay, now they're selecting Modi. Why should he go there? Because he said Chiefs, there's no quality players there. But guess what? That's the same Chiefs. They are competing for top 8. They're playing in MTN top 8.
Yeah.
They are in number 5 in the in the league. What is the Sundowns is doing? Pirates? Nothing. No, like I think that this coach, they have to be told, when we are in South Africa, you have to learn to respect, us.
Yeah.
As for Bafana, I don't have a confidence.
Oh, you don't have a confidence come Bafana? They've done well so far.
No, like maybe somebody else want to, our team to perform 110%. But I don't see that. Because I know when it comes to friendly game, Bafana they will win. But when matters most, they don't win.
Yeah. What do you think? Hugo Bruce's mandate is from SAFA?
That question I always ask here. I said, okay, sometimes even like Chiefs. I'll give you an example of Chiefs. Yeah. Do we know the mandate of ntseki? We don't know. Bruce, we don't know, because as a coach, you have to give your term at least qualify for African Cup of Nations and World Cup. If you fail to meet those requirements, you are gone. And a national team, we are not there to next player. When you are selected to play national team, automatically you are full-blown player. We are not teaching the player the basics.
But let me come back, Prampo. Let me come back. Let me just refresh everybody's memory. So, Bafana's final squad for the 2 friendlies that they're going to play in the coming week is goalkeepers Ronwin Williams, Veli Motwa, Ricardo Goss. Defenders, we've got Sidney Mobi, Tabiso Munyane, Rankekana, and Nkosinathi Sibisi, Obrimudiba, Sianda Kulu, Mtobi Mvala, Innocent Mayela. In the midfield, we've got Luke Leroux, Tebo Mokwena, Grant Mageman, Batuse Obas. In the forwards, we have Mihlali Mayambela, Themba Zwane, Kobamelo Kodisang, Persita Uza Kelele Pasa, Lyle Foster, Lebo Mutiba, and Munnapule Saleng. That is the squad that's going to be playing these friendlies coming up right now. Senzo, welcome to the show, my brother. How are you doing?
What's up to the platinum?
Listen, so Papa touched on a couple of things there. What are your thoughts around the Bafana squad and your thoughts around the attitude that Hugo Bruce seems to have as the coach of the national team? Came at Chiefs just a week ago, but then now, previous to that, it was Sundowns. People were angry. What do you think about him as well?
I think he's just being big-headed. Like who was saying that they must respect us. Honestly, he must respect us. I think he doesn't have to make those statements. I feel like you're talking as a national coach, especially as a national coach, should be on the field. Let's see you play football. Let's make us shut up because you play good football. Then you can talk. But he's talking and he doesn't know. What if before AFCON and half of Chiefs players are playing well? Are you gonna not pick them because they're not playing well? Dupreez is a player that's battling under. Dupreez can be in the national team. I would be surprised why he's not if he carry on continuing playing the way he's playing. So I don't understand what he's saying. I really don't understand that. But more than anything, I'm very worried with the squad. But I want to give him that room in terms of most of the players that you're seeing that you were calling now from the national team. Those guys are not they're not starting for their teams. Obas is not starting for his teams. Modiba is not starting for his team. A lot of these players are not starting for their teams and the national team. So I'm just hoping that, okay, maybe the idea is to build for AFCON or get a starting 11 for AFCON. Maybe that's that idea. But yeah, and I don't think we should be trusting on Themba Zwane. He got hurt in the face. And yes, it's a face injury, but he's at an age where one knock could take him out. So I feel like I feel like this team still needs a bit of tweaking, but we'll give him the benefit of the doubt and say maybe he's looking into the future in terms of where we'll be in January. But otherwise, I'm not happy with the team in terms of consistent, like the players that are being picked, they are not starting for their teams. You know?
Let me go into Mo. Mo, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
No, I'm okay, Mo. Listen, Mo, what do you think of this Bafana squad that has been chosen? And then also, can you touch on the attitude of the coach and the way he speaks in media sometimes?
First of all, let's start by Sydney Moby, guys. How is he chosen before Motaung? Before Motaung, our best defender. You win best defender, but you're not picked.
You guys are gonna cry about Moby until I think Moby is the guy that Hugo Bruce is telling us good time. He's trying to show you guys that this is my ego here. It's my pride. I'll pick whoever I want.
I live in Polokwane. I watch Moby every time there's a home game.
Yeah.
Bafeta ka yena. Aye pele, aye morago, go loke selo. Aowa. Maybe le mmona TV. Motho re mmona live, a go loke selo. Ba mmitša squad.
Yeah.
Like sometimes we were shocked though when a squad sick, you know. Like a šetša bolela re hey Chiefs di eng mo ke anya go tšea mang. But he has to be honest and say, you know what, these are the players I favor and I hate Chiefs. Or if Chiefs something happened, maybe they didn't pick him, he went for an interview, because you can't say such things and then come back. Pella, he's not a coach in the PSL, he's a coach of our national team.
Yeah.
So the notion he's pushing about other players who want to be selected, what is he saying about them? As a Kaizer Chiefs player right now, would you be happy though? Knowing very well that whether you're good or not, you're not going to be picked. And another issue is the fact that this current squad, it's like all our top performers. I can only see Lepasa where it's like, okay, now we get it, why he's here. And others, you're like, how, guys, what's happening here? Midfield, how? Le Root, Oh, guys. Oh, Rohelang.
Uh,
I don't think we're gonna qualify. If this is the squad we're taking to AFCON, it's called.
no, my brother, I'm gonna come back. Mutaro, welcome to the show, my brother. How you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you?
No, I'm okay, my brother. I'm okay. Tell me about the squad. What do you feel about the squad, and how do you feel about Hugo Bruce and the comments he makes outside?
Man, you know my feelings about Hugo.
Yeah.
Last time when we spoke, I said I'm not putting Bafana anywhere.
Mm.
I don't trust the guy personally. So for me, he's not my guy, my man. The squad is decent, though there's questions on Nico Mobi as well, but it's a decent squad, given what we have, the qualities we have as a nation. Right? Given the qualities we have as a nation, I'm okay with the squad. I'm not gonna say much, but I don't understand why must we have Nico Mobi, not Motaung. That's the biggest problem I have. So, but other than that, you know my feelings about Hugo Bros. He's a coach that has so much ego. He thinks he knows it all. He's not gonna respect us. This is not the first time him doing something bad to the nation. And we still believe that he's a coach that's gonna take us somewhere. I don't think so. I don't think so. He will stick to what he believes. He will stick to his players. Nothing for us, my guy. Nothing for us, my guy. So for me, Hugo Bros is a no-no.
Yeah.
For Bafana, I'll be supporting, but we're not going anywhere.
Let me jump in. I think for me, you get stuck philosophically. You get stuck between, does a national team coach pick the players that he sees and he wants, and maybe he wants to develop, and maybe he sees a spark somewhere and he wants to give those guys game time and grow with them and all of that? Or do you pick the best players in the country? Because the best players in the country, there's certain names that are missing from here. You know, there's the Masangwanyis that are missing. There's the Ndondlos that have been playing very well. There's certain players that you would say, if I'm picking the best, it looks like this. But then if I'm picking my favorites, it looks like that. So there's that push and pull of philosophy. So it seems that Hugo Bruce is somebody who's going, you know what, guys? I don't necessarily care about what you guys say, and you guys want the Chiefs player, and you guys want this, you guys want that. I'm going to pick my own players. My issue with Hugo Bruce is that, guys, this is not a press conference that is happening Kohai or Groundung, where we speak Groundung and we speak however we want to speak. He's a national team coach. The one thing you don't want to do is alienate players, right? Or creates it unnecessary drama around the team. Think about it. All Hugo Bruce had to say was, when he was asked about the Chiefs players, look, this is the team that I've selected. These are the players that I think would be best for what we need to do as Bafana. Maybe in the future, as spaces arise, I may experiment and bring in more people. Done. You're finished. You don't have to say too much. You've said enough, right? Now, you can't come back a week later after saying the stuff that he said about Kaizer Chiefs and even Sundowns previously, and come back and say, oh, guys, he doesn't like the backlash behind it. What were you thinking? As the coach of a national team, you've been here for how many years? You should know that the Kaizer Chiefs fans are a certain way, Sundowns fans are a certain way, Pirates fans are a certain way. If you mention Kaizer Chiefs, good, bad, neutral, you're going to get backlash. It's going to be amplified. Whatever you've said is going to be amplified. It's Chiefs effect. It's the biggest team in the country. But now you're going to sit back and you're going to act surprised about, I was misquoted. You could have just let it go. Senzo, I want to come back to you. Which players that have been performing in the PSL are missing from this? Even outside. Nababo Njabulo Plom are not selected here. Nababo Abo Masangwanyi. There's so many players that haven't been selected. Is it an issue with his philosophy?
Definitely Masangwane. I would have loved to see him there, but I would understand his inexperience. Then we essentially preparing for AFCON, so you can't be getting a player with less than 4 caps to be playing against your Zahas and your Pessi. He doesn't have that international experience, and maybe he might be found by the topper opposition of player. So we don't want to expose a player like that, and don't go too also the same thing. So I can understand some players that haven't had international experience before not getting that chance, and him sticking to the team that, okay, I've gone with to the AFCON. But then on the same hand, then you have players like Opas, and you're like, Opas hasn't played, as much.
Majman.
Why is he there?
Yeah.
Madman, you'd also have the same argument. So it's just, I think he's looking at who have I worked with, who do I know, who will listen to my instructions more. And let's hope, I haven't seen it yet, but let's hope there's a certain shape that he's trying to, or a certain way he wants us to play. I feel like with the international players that we have, Laila is playing well. He scored again this weekend. The pass is playing well. Pesitawa apparently is playing well. I never know with that guy. So we can hope that, okay, we will win comfortable bully and play maybe well. But yeah, in terms of us, we need to be at a place where we are having a starting 11 already, that we know we're going to AFCON, and we are now trying different formations and trying different ways to attack the opposition. So more than anything, unless the guy has international experience, I could understand not picking your players like Ndlondlo, your Masangwai, because he's going to be integrated to a new team. So will he understand? Will he know what to do? Will he know what I want? So because even relationships, have to be formed. Is he gonna listen to me? Is he gonna understand? So you have to put a lot of consideration before you pick players.
But why haven't we seen those guys? Why hasn't he been picking those people? Why do you think he enjoys Abo Obase, Abo Mobi? Why do you think he enjoys doing that? Even Lepasa to a degree was also not a popular pick at the time.
I actually don't know. I think it's coach might have a certain idea and want to fight idea, even if the idea. Look at Arteta with Havertz. He's really trying to push Havertz into some playing position or whatever, and he's putting it down our necks, and it's not working. So I feel like with certain players like Mobi hasn't performed in I don't know how long. Mobi had a good stint, and he's been quiet for a long time. Motaung just scored this past weekend. He has international experience. He has CAF experience. He's the best. He's the reigning defender of the season. Why is he not there? So you can see that the certain agendas, like I say, relationships. He maybe has good relationships with certain players, and he wants to keep them, and he's worked with them, and he knows what they can give him. So I think we can safely say that we are looking at probably the players that are going to AFCON, maybe a change here and there. But for me, let's start seeing the starting 11. Let's see how you're going to attack the opposition, how you're going to score. That's what we're looking for now.
And then just one last thing. Do you think that if you were in charge of SAFA, in your own preference, do you want a coach that's going to pick up Opas and those guys and maybe have a team that he wants to develop over 2-3 years? Or do you want a coach that's going to come in and pick the best players every single time? If it fluctuates and changes, he's still picking the cream of the crop, whoever that is at any given time. Where do you fall on that?
What type of nation I am. If I'm in the next 5 years, I could be competing, and maybe the caliber of the league, or maybe the caliber of the players playing in the certain league, then I don't have to build. Then I'm trying to win every tournament. So I'm going to need a serial win. I don't need someone who's going to develop. That will be a job for the league and whatsoever. But then if I have an example like Germany, you're saying I don't have as much quality players. The last quality players are gone. Now I have a new crop of generation of players to build. If they're giving me time, then definitely you want to build. let's start building. But for me, honestly, where South Africa is now, we're not too far behind from our international compets. It's just we don't rate our football very high. But I think Sundowns gave a glimpse of what South African football has. And I feel if we can take the same, not ideas, but still a piece of Sundowns' understanding of where we are and what we can do football-wise, I feel like we can even go to AFCON and compete. If our players who are playing well continue the form they are continuing and listen to the coach and play more. I feel like AFCON could surprise a lot of people.
Okay. Mo, I want to bring you in. I've got the two questions for you. These missing players, why isn't Bruce looking at other guys to bring in and integrate? Why does he enjoy going with the Albas, Nabomobi, and he looks like he wants to give them the chance? Why is he doing that? And then the second question is, if you are in charge of SAFA right now, are you picking a coach that's going to develop a guy, that's going to take guys that maybe aren't popular and move them through and have them for 3 years? Or do you want a coach that's going to pick the best guys and play the best guys, whoever those guys are?
Obviously, with the SAFA thing, I personally believe that if you are playing for your national team, it means you are doing something good. I don't think we should be having players in our national team whilst they are not performing, because it creates a notion for other players that whether I work hard or not, I'm still gonna not play. So whether it's time for AFCON or what, other players are not gonna worry about that. Whether they are performing or what, it doesn't change anything for them. So it's just gonna be that thing. You need to create a structure in your team where everyone knows what here we are here to compete. It's not because coach knows my last name. We have had lunch twice a week. I'm gonna go to the national team. And if people are worried about caps and stuff like that, why aren't people getting caps now in our friendlies? If it's about the caps, then how many players are not capped and go to these competition and get their caps and show that they deserve to be called up? And another thing, some players that are not called up, it's definitely a thing of maybe they've ruffled his feathers or something, because it's impossible. It's impossible for you to be recognized by an entire league and still not be called up by our national team and think it's a normal thing, you know? So if it's a thing of, hey, he's choosing based on performance, on what performance? If he's choosing based on building, what is he building? Because we can look at the age of every player there. It's not based on we're building for the future. So what is it based on? So that's the main issue everyone has. It's what are we doing now? Are we saying we are building, or are we saying we are competing? It's a thing of we're not even sure as a nation what we are gonna be doing there. Because any result we get, if we get a loss and we know that we are building, then it's fine. We are building. But now it's a thing where what can and I So that's the only thing I see that people have a main issue with. It's just the thing of bakhetha motho based on what? Performance or waratiwa or for pay. Fair. Is it a winning mentality? Is it a building mentality? What mentality are we going there with? As fans, what should we expect?
Okay, my brother. Butlari, I'm going to come to you with the same two questions. Why does he insist on picking, I'm not going to say not good, but not fashionable players? Like, why aren't we seeing the fashionable PSL players that are doing well right now? Why do we keep seeing his favorites? And then also, as somebody, what's your preference? Do you want your coach to be a building coach? We're going to take Mobi and make him an international player? Or do you want a coach that's going to pick whoever is the best players available, regardless of team or whatever? Just if you're good and available, we're going to pick you. Where do you lie on that?
My guy, for me, one, the coach, Hugo Bros, I don't know how many times I said this, but for me, I think he has so much ego, he doesn't respect us. I think for me, he thinks he knows better. He thinks he knows football way better than most South Africans. That is why he is the way he is. And I don't foresee him changing. And also, he was given too much respect when he got into the country. I think that's where we made a mistake. We gave him so much responsibility and also so much respect that he has won the AFCON, that he needs to be respected. But I wish that as a country could have said, what did you do in your country before you came to Africa? Because it's not like Belgium is the world-class football state. No, it's not. So if he didn't do anything in Belgium, why do we think he can do something in South Africa? So the respect we give him, I think, just cost us to be where we are. And I don't know. I don't understand why he picks based on favorism. I guess maybe it's loyalty. Yes, his players that are loyal to him, and he needs to be loyal to them. I don't know. But for me, a national team coach shouldn't be like that. Yes, you can have your crop of players that you know year in and year out. They are performing. You can have your Chambers runner, even if he's off form for that.
Hey, network. Current network is starting to kick. Current network is starting to kick. But I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna come back to you, Kari. It's gone there. Malome Kuto, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Can you hear me, man?
Oh, okay. I think Vutlare is back. Just finish your point there, Vutlare. Yeah, I think you just cut out there.
Okay, I was saying, for me, I think you can build your team around a crop of players that you know, even if for 2 weeks they are off form, but you know is your Chambers one. He'll give it to you something. Can build the teams around those 3-2 Pesita or your Chambers one, your Williams. Those maybe you can have. These are my solid 3 players that I can build the team around. I know even if they are off form for that 2 weeks, but you are guaranteed that he's the best player that you have.
Yeah.
So, but you can't have a Nico Mubi. What are you building around Nico Mubi? Come on. We're not serious. And I think as a country, there's a lot of things that he has said he has gotten away with a lot. And I don't think we are willing to take him to accountability with what he's doing. So for me, my guy, I'm out. I don't know what we have to do, but I'm not for a national team coach that has to build players. As a national team coach, you don't have to build players. If you need a certain thing, rather meet with all the 16 coaches, talk what kind of players you need, get the stats from the coach, and what are the coach's opinion. Then from there, you create your team around those things. Because at the end of the day, if you speak to the coaches know what you need. You also know what the kind of play the team plays because you've already met them. I think that will build us a perfect national team. Last thing. I feel like we are afraid to say this. Hugo Bros has a very bad relationship with all the PSL coaches. He has a bad relationship. You can't expect anything from there. If it was up to Rulani, he was not going to give him his players. For sure now, if Mobi was not going to go. So it tells you that he has and also he still had a bad relationship with Atazwane. At some point, Atazwane said he never spoke to us when he selected players. We just hear from the media that he has selected a certain player. So for me, that's where the problem is.
Okay. Malome Kuto, welcome to the show. How are you doing, my brother?
How are you, Mr. OT?
No, I'm okay. National team talk. Why isn't Hugo Bruce selecting the sexier players? You know, the names that we as fans, I guess, want to see. Why is he continuing to pick Abu Mobi and those type of players? Number one, and then number two, what's your preference? Do you want your coach to drag Abu? Okay, it's gonna sound weird. To take Abu Mobi and make them international stars, or do you want him to take the best players in the country, regardless of whatever, and take them through?
Now I think I live in a different country.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, man, now I know a different Hugo Bros. Now you know a Hugo Bros who came here and gave Bafana dignity and made South Africa a fortress. I always say this: no team can come into this country and walk away with 3 points. But and I'm talking the best of the best on the continent. They've came here and they've been beaten. Moroka, they've been beaten. Ghana, they've been beaten. To the point where Ghana had to get a dubious penalty just to beat us as South Africans.
Yeah.
When was the last time were we that proud? I remember players crying because they knew which they deserved it and they had put in their all. So we have just qualified for AFCON comfortably. Whether Zimbabwe was there or not, we've beaten Zimbabwe before, home and away. You understand? So actually, I remember when Hugo Bros came, Hugo Bros gave us the thing which we complained with, why did we beat Zimbabwe 1-0 away? Should have beaten them 3-0 away. And the players who are in the national team have earned their stripes. I am feeling him, but it's only been 5 games. Let's be honest. Most of us didn't even see him last season when he was at Super Sport. But we see him when I know it's magic, it's new to our eyes. You can't let people walk into the national team after 2 games. After 2 games, there's only one guy, and I know everyone is hinging on him. It's Nico Mobi. Anyone else in that national team deserves his spot. Rulani was once left out in the cold, and he kept his head down and he kept working hard, consistency, game after game, game after game.
Yeah.
And today, he's the first name on that team sheet. Whether it's a starting lineup, whether it's the national team call-up, he's the first name we always expect him. Only Pasa has proved Hugo Bros right. When the Pirates coach wasn't feeling Uli Pasa, when also Gavin Hunt was dropping Uli Pasa, Hugo Bros was man enough to say, you know what, this is my player and I'm going to select him. And I know what he's capable of. And he will go out to media and say, you know what, guys, I can see what Uli Pasa is not playing. But me, what Uli Pasa gives me is enough. And every time Uli Pasa would go to the national team, he'd come back with a goal. I mean, Uli still today qualified because of Lepas. Lepas bringing in this form from the national team. And understand, the national team is set up. Anyone, I can guarantee you, even everyone who's complaining here, you can set a lineup like Hugo Bros. Anything. Soccer Trail saying, you can tell me who's going to play. You understand? You can tell me which number 1, Ronan Williams. Number 2, probably Nico Mobi, or when Morena is fit, Morena will be there. Sianda will be there. You understand? Mayela will be there as the preferred left back. Or Santi. I already know those tall players. In the midfield, you know which Mokwena will be there. You know Musali Mayambela will be there. We know Pesita will be there. Lepasa, Lyle Foster. These are players, and we are preparing right now. It's not an experiment. We are preparing for the AFCON. I think South Africans have forgotten how to prepare for the AFCON.
Okay.
We've been out in the cold for so long. How does a team prepare for a big tournament? You don't just start calling up Borat Omo, Bo Mufukeng, and if Bo Castillo, if he was legible, Bo Sorino, out of the blue. These guys have earned their spot chance. They qualified the tournament by themselves. Let them reap the rewards. Let them reap the fruits. Kanakimang, Patrice overs. We weren't looking when Upro selected him out of the blue. And after 1 game in the national team, which will tell you Kalifela Hugo Bros, after 1 game in the national team, there was suddenly a fight between Orlando Pirates, Kaizer Chiefs, Sundowns, for the same player, over Tusi overs, to a point where they were even amending our team sheet. Babalu Kuseka Pirates, Team Sugas was in the media the whole week after just that 1 game. The Hugo Bros had identified him. That's what we want. Do we not want to be the best? Do we not want to be represented by the best? And I'm happy if Hugo Bros is selecting players that he wants. It means that he has a defined philosophy. It means that he understands what he wants to do. You understand? I always think to myself, which what Atazwane did that was wrong last season is to abandon his philosophy.
Okay.
Atazwane had something going for him. Atazwane knew what he wanted to do. And unfortunately, a couple of results didn't go his way and he folded. And he started playing players he didn't believe in. And unfortunately, that's where he lost. Manje, HUGO Bros is tight. Akanandaba ukuthi kwenzakalani. He knows ukuthi 6 yakhe is uLiru, is Tole, uKanakimang the Sundowns player of the season. Mokwena.
Oh, the Mokwena.
And what makes me respect HUGO Bros even more, the situation that Chambers won. HUGO Bros does not only insult, and I say insult in inverted commas for lack of a better word, in public, but he also compliments and apologizes in public. That man took the mic and he said South Africa was wrong about this man. If I had selected this man, I would have qualified for the World Cup. This is the player I was missing all along. And he was speaking about the Chambers one. You understand? And his mandate has always been clear. Take us to the AFCON. And he said, I'll take you to the AFCON. I can guarantee you. But for you World Cup, I'm just going to try. So I commend his bravery to say, guys, I made a mistake. I should have selected the Chambers one before. And today, she is the number one player. Today, penalty contract, Basalako MLS because of HUGO Bros. He came in when we were all asking, why not Lodge? Why not King and Toli? He was like, he's a 19-year-old that I want to select. That's the one boy has been delivering bar one game. I understand Jabulo Plum corner, but I feel it depends compared to the players that are selected. And Jabulo Plum has been brave enough to also admit to it. Compared to the players that are selected, maybe I'm not there. I don't have enough games in the midfield. And then Motaung. HUGO Bros selected Motaung. And unfortunately for Motaung, when he was selected and given an opportunity, he got a red card against France. And he had to miss some games. Got a red card against France. And then recently, let's be honest, we can see the sabotage, the attempts. Removed the player from PSL. Well, I'm assuming. I can see with sometimes there's a hesitation to release players from this team. You understand? Motaung just got back from injury. Tell me, does anyone believe who Sundowns would have released them to go and play in the national team this weekend?
Okay.
He just came back from injury. Can someone just confirm which Bona they feel which Motaung would have been released?
I'm gonna jump in just to allow everybody in. Apologies. I know, but it's just time wise. Let me just get everybody else in. Otto, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
How's it?
No, I'm good. So the question for me that I have for you, before I go back to Malamukuts and everybody on the panel, what are your thoughts about this Bafana squad? What are your thoughts about HUGO Bros' team building mentality? And if you were in charge of SAFA or a national team, what's your preference? Do you want a coach that's going to be identifying talent at a national team level? Or do you want a coach that's going to be selecting, quote unquote, only the best?
Well, my question, first of all, is, are we building or we are here to win? You see, that's the first question. Because now, my choice will be a coach who's gonna mix everything, the best players and also the developing players. Because now you have players like Ndlondo there, you have players like Mufukeng, you have your players like Dupreez. You are saying you want experienced players. Where will those players get those caps if they are not being called on the national team? You see, that's where the issue is. Because now people are asking, okay, we're going to call these superstars, but Ndlondo is doing well. You are saying that, and people can see that he's doing well. Mufukeng is still a young player. If you can take, for an example, Spain, Gavi there. How old was he when he started playing for Spain?
18, 17? If not,
What's the reason why? What is the reason why are we not doing that? We can call Chambers one, then mix it up, call Mufukeng there, just to be there on the national team, even if he's not gonna get a game time, just to be there with the guys. You see. So I mean, like, that's what we supposed to do. A mix. If we are building, then call those young players. If you want to win CAF, there are those, there are Chambers runners there are Williams there, our squad, which we know. But then those young men there, just to get maybe 10 minutes or 15 minutes of game time, so that they know that, okay, this is how we do it here as South Africans. By the age of 25 or by the age of 23, he's experienced. He's an experienced player. He knows how the national team plays. He knows the coach, what is the style of play for the coach. You see. So that's my point.
Okay. Let me bring in Riva. Riva, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. And yourself?
I'm good. So chime in on the conversation. How do you feel about Bafana, the squad? How do you feel about Hugo Bruce's approach to building the Bafana squad? And if it were up to you, do you want, and this is just a personal preference, do you want a coach that's going to build players? So maybe I take certain players that may be unfancied by the country and I make them into international stars? Or do you want a coach that's going to look at the league, for example, and I guess the world and say, these are the best players that we have available at this current time. I'm going to bring them in.
Okay, so this is my thing. I think the entire organization, so this is from Safa to everybody, I think that the entire organization does not have a clear direction of what they want as an organization. Because their PR, oh my goodness, their PR is, I mean, if their PR, look at I'm not gonna boost or anything, but if you talk PR, look at Orlando Pirates coach when he answers questions, because of the level of PR Orlando Pirates has. He understands that there's certain questions he can't just answer, or there's certain questions that he could have avoided, or you could have just commented like just a little bit. You didn't even have to get into clubs and whatever, but nevertheless, we're not even gonna start talking about building, because we're not building anything. I mean, how old is Grand Kekana? What are we building there? The guys, how many young players do we have right now? How many young players do we have from our under 23? Let me ask you that question. Do we have anybody from the under 23 team?
No.
Do we have anybody from the under 17 team? We don't have. So what are we building? We're not building anything. Rather, because we've been using the same strategy. This is my thing. We've been using the same strategy to pick players from these teams, and it has not been working. I mean, it has not been working for the team for how long now? Let's get another strategy. Do we have anybody thinking, let's think out of the box? Let's build our own national team from scratch. Why are we not doing that? Why are we not doing that as a national team? You know, somebody spoke about Chiefs players not they need to up their game. This is not about the team. And this is what I think we are forgetting as fans, and him as a coach, because if you're gonna take Lipasa for an example, right? If you take Lipasa to be the striker, I have nothing against Lipasa. I love the guy. I'm an Orlando Pirates fan, but there's certain people in Orlando Pirates that brings out the goodness in Lipasa that are not there in the national team. If you take a player from the team and you're gonna combine him with another player from another team, you need to look at, are these people gonna gel? Are they gonna play well together? Does this person have the qualities of the other player that brings out the greatness in Lipasa, for an example? That's an example. We have Motaung, guys. I'm crying for Motaung. Why is he not there? Mtetwa, the guy is excellent. If you look at Stellenbosch game, that guy is excellent. We look at Weber from Skukune. The guy is marvelous. He's not there. He's not there. he's taking, like, he's looking at the club's performance rather than individuals. We understand that not everybody's gonna make it. That is clear, and we are happy with that. However, take that. I don't think the guy even takes his time to go and watch these players play. I can guarantee you that. Because the people he chose, the midfielders, you look at the midfielders and you look at our strikers, I can guarantee you, my man, those people are going to struggle. Those people are going to struggle. You understand?
Yeah.
So also, we can run away. We can try to run away from it as South Africans, but these people are chosen also based on who manages who, their management.
Okay.
That we can try to run away from it. I think it was one of the scandals in some time. Remember the time of, what's this guy? He used to play for Bidvest and then he came to Pirates and he took Jelly's band. Man, the guy with Tlachwayo. The guy was not performing in Bidvest. He was not performing. He was not. But because of his management and whatever, obviously they had a good relationship with Safa and whatever. He made each and every call up. You understand? So I think that also plays a role. So if I was part of Safa, whatever, I think I would look at another approach, because this thing of picking from teams, it's not working for us, guys. Let's agree it's not working for us. Let's look at a different approach. Build our own team. Let's take our own boys from the under 23, from the under 17. And the thing is, we can't even take from them because we are not shown those guys. Those guys play well. If you go to one of their matches or whatever, they play well. They represent us in other countries and whatever, but they come back here, they'll tell you, I just want to play for Pirates. They don't even wish to play for the national team because they know that they're not going to be taken from point A to point B. But if you look at organizations like your Barcelona, for an example, or whatever, they take their players from as far as they have, like, under 13.
Under 8s, under 10s.
Under 10, yes. Those players, you start at 18, you start at 8, you go to 10, you go to 13, you 18. Then you make it up. But as far as South Africa is concerned, I think we still got a long way to go.
Okay. Let me bring in Typhus. Typhus, welcome to the show, my brother. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm good, man. How are you doing?
No, I'm good. So tell me, these are the questions I have for you. This Bafana squad, how do you feel about how Hugo Bruce goes about selecting players? And then secondly, if you're in charge of SAFA, are you picking a coach that's going to be a quote-unquote developmental coach? Are you picking a guy that's going to go, who are the best players? Just give me the best players. I'm going to run with them now. The typos are still with me. Hey, network. Is it network? Yeah, I'm seeing the network side. I'm going to come back to you. Maluma Kuto, let's broaden the national team talk past Hugo Bruce and this team right now. How do you feel about there not being a connection between under 17, 23 and Bafana? You know, how do you feel about there not being a through line, a relationship between those teams currently?
Moby is a good player. He's a good defender.
I think we're just getting network interference there. Just give it a second. Okay, I think you can go, Maluma Kuts. I think you can go.
Yeah, Typhus was still giving his king opinion. Look, I don't know. Like I'm saying, gents, ladies and gentlemen, like, I don't know how we're missing this. It's actually working. It's not working. It's actually working. I think in the past 3 years.
Yo.
I know it will fade away. The man
is it still connected? I think it's doing that weird thing. Let me see if I do this. What will happen? Okay, no. Go on, Maluma.
It's working. Hugo Bros, I think he's been here for 2-3 years, and we've only lost 3 games. 3 games.
Okay.
It's against Moroka away, where they had to score last minute. It's against Ghana, 1-0 away, where they had to score a dubious penalty. It's the 5-0 that Hugo Bros asked for. That he said we need better games, and that I feel he organized. Those are the only opponents we've lost to. Everyone else we've beaten, and we continue to beat. You understand? But now, where is the Mokwena coming from? The Mokwena, I think, he has played for all the junior levels. But if we check if we check progress at the South African players and progress at the international players, we are gonna lose some very good players. We are gonna keep building and building and building and building. You understand? We're gonna build what Mokwena. When they turn 25, we delete them from the system. We go back, we get Boma Pena and Boratomo. When they turn 25, we delete them. Then we get Banababo Kuto. At some point, the building has to stop. We have to rekenye roof and move in furniture and start living in that house. You understand? So we have Botebogo Mokwena, who played in the junior national team. We have Bo Chapelo Morena, who played in the junior national team. We have Bo Kanakimang, this guy, the goalkeeper, Williams. He played in the junior national teams. Currently, we have Umailula, and the coach did say, which unfortunately, because Umailula just moved to a new team, I can't select him. The coach regularly selects Umailula. The coach regularly selects Masego. If you're asking about young players, those two players are consistently in the squad. Both Pepelos Tole came in at the age of 23 as well. Boliru, they came in at the age of 23. Unfortunately, they've grown. Well, not unfortunately, but naturally, they've grown. It's been 2 years. They're now 25. You understand? And the coach does give people a chance. But when it comes to the development, the under 23.
Yeah, in general.
The coach himself has asked which guys, what am I supposed to do if you don't even have a permanent coach for your under 23? When you don't even have a permanent coach for under 7, when you don't even make a game, this guy is going to sponsor guys. What complain about what deliver? What complain about what deliver? One understand? He knows what I can't even watch a junior players. But anyway, get a win at the same time. You understand? So we can't just out of the blue after qualifying for the AFCON, unless if we don't want to win the AFCON. Select Atomo, Mapena, Mailula all at once.
But I think I want to make the question more about historically in South Africa, pre-Hugo Bruce and all of that stuff. We've had problems with the under 23s, but then why aren't we seeing how many players were playing under 23 for a very long time, but then never quite made that step to Bafana, or made the step too late, or 23, 24, 25. Shouldn't we be taking some of these guys, even if it's just for experience sake? Like, let's take you to an AFCON at 19 or whatever, or a couple of you or 5 of you or whatever, to an AFCON, and then you're not going to be relied on, you're not going to be asked to carry a load, but you're going to be developed. Or maybe even saying that one of the things that we do is take the under 23s, and if you're going to be developing, and not for Bruce, I'm not saying it's not for Bruce, but just in general, take those under 23s and say, okay, let's create a core group of players that are going to go under 19, under 23, Bafana, similar to what rugby does, for example. Is that something we should be looking into, strengthening those lines?
It sounds good. It sounds good, but it's impossible. It is impossible to have one core group. Even I can tell you about Neymar. Neymar, the Neymar. The players he grew up with, the players he came up with, are nowhere to be seen.
Yeah.
Bo Lucas Moura, Bo Ganso. People don't even know about Ganso. They're like, who's Ganso? These are people who came up with Neymar. But because football and life, people get affected differently. And it's not about I'm a national team. People just fall off. People just fade away. People just become bench warmers at their teams. You understand? Currently, we have Tebogo Mokwena. Tebogo Mokwena came up with Jamie Weber and Usipho Mbulu, and they had a formidable partnership that was 6 years Super Sport. Tebogo Mokwena moves to Sundowns, he commands his spot. Mbulu also moves to Sundowns and he becomes a bench warmer. Jamie Weber stays go Super Sport, becomes a bench warmer go Super Sport, and his contract is not renewed. He has to go and start a new life go Skukuni. So such things can come up. So you can't just have a collective of players and say these players, and there will be players who mushroom out of nowhere. You have to accommodate by force. I'm talking about your Salings. I'm talking about your Maswangai, your Tembas one is your Lodges. Players who come out of the woodworks, and you can see what it's difficult to ignore them. So to have one team, it's literally impossible, James. We have to understand. And for those who are complaining about Grand Kekana, can you give me a better centre back? Grand Kekana. Well, sometimes just because a player is on the bench, puts him near high, it doesn't mean as a national team coach you have to overlook him. And I'll give you 2 players.
But then isn't that unfair for then Abokoki Sibisi, Abomsimango, who is, for example, who might be dying for the sins of Chiefs, but he was captain of TS Galaxy as the centre back last season. He played most of the games. Well, I wouldn't use him as a name, but isn't that unfair then?
And I understand. I won't address the semantics. You're just choosing a player.
Yeah.
But so I just want to give you 2 examples, even 3. There are players who were selected for the German national team, and they were on the bench. They were never. They were hardly regulars. I'm talking about Lukas Podolski. I'm talking about Miroslav Klose. And Miroslav Klose went on at some point to hold the record of the most goals at the World Cup. Miroslav Klose struggled to hold down a starting berth go Bayern. But the coach knew, Bo Joachim Löw, Bo Jürgen Klinsmann, they knew the qualities that Miroslav Klose had. And they would select him, and he would keep on banging those goals. So he might be playing as a bench warmer. I mean, as a sub, coming in as a sub. But give me one centre back who, if I said it's your million on the house, that you would select over Grant Kekana. Grant is one of the best, and he's actually one of a product, a development in South African football. That boy came into the PSL, I think, at 19 or something.
But no, wait. I'm gonna come back. Let me give other time. Otto, should there be more of a relationship between under 17, 19, 23 and Bafana? Should we be seeing players that are moving through that thing? Or is it a factor, as Malume Kuto said, that maybe some of them will fall out? We can't necessarily guarantee those things. What do you think about the relationship between under 17, 19, 23 and Bafana?
You see, there, I agree with you, and I agree with Abudi Kujo. There will be fallouts. They can't be all successful. But as you are saying, we are trying to build. But if there is no action, we can't see that at all. What are we building then? There should be that relationship whereby we see that this coach has tried doing this and has tried doing this, but it is not working. So what is it that we can do so that we can see that we can build our team? But there is nothing at all. There is no relationship. So what is it that we are building? I agree with Abuti Kucho. Yes, he can call those players and do this and do that. But then where's the development? Why are we not calling those young boys there, as you are saying, at least 2 or 3 players? Then if we are not gonna call, if there is no relationship, at least then maybe 2 or 3 players. Rather than saying that we need to rely on Grant Kekana. We need to rely on Mayela. How many seasons are they left with? After they are done, who's gonna come in? You see, because now Grant Kekana, I think, is about 2-3 seasons left. Then what's the next generation of our national team?
You never know in the PSL. It could be 4-5 years very quickly.
But you see the problem. You see where the problem is. All the time they're gonna play, they're gonna retire in years to come. Then we have to start again from the stretch, where we have to find those players who are doing well in the PSL. That's the problem. We don't have that development where they will build a relationship, a core relationship where they know each other. Because if you can take 5 guys, 5 young players, put them with those with Rankeka, put them with your Zwane, put them with your Lipasas there, they build that relationship. And then when Lipasa retires, he knows that, okay, this guy, this is my child. He's a mentor there. They can call them and mentor those guys there because they have that relationship. There's no relationship at all.
Okay.
You see? Yeah.
No. Thank you, my brother. Let me go to Rivo. Rivo, it was one of the points that you had brought up. Should there be a stronger relationship between all of those levels? And why don't we have that relationship currently?
I think, yes, there should be. But like I said, I think the problem is with SAFA on its own. Because if there's going to be some kind of a relationship, then we're going to have like a continuity. You know what I mean? I agree with them. Yes, some of them are going to fall out or whatever and whatever. Yes. But we cannot live on maybe. What if they fall? What if they don't? What if they... You understand? We need to think ahead. Because right now, yes, okay, we're not going to call them. But what's the plan for Bafana in the next 5 years? Bruce, HUGO will not be there. I'm telling you. Somebody said Bafana has won 3. I mean, guys, do you winning against Botswana, Lesotho, is that a win? Are we really gonna celebrate that win? Like, really? We haven't been tested. I mean, we haven't even been tested. We drew against Namibia in July, if I'm not mistaken, 1-1. That was like an eye opener to say, okay, guys, this is not working. And I think another thing that's making Bafana not to work is this thing of panicking on the FIFA break. Every FIFA break, FIFA week or FIFA whatever, then we panic. It's like, who can we call? That's exactly what's making us miss other like significant players, because we are now panicking. We're taking these decisions because we're panicking. Why don't we have these certain players? Let's not wait for a FIFA break. Let's take 5 players from under 23. Let's have these players training for Bafana for full 3 months. And then come FIFA break, bring in the experience that you want to bring with those boys that have been camping for Bafana for the past 3 months or so. Let's see how those people play. Let's try something. Let's not justify some. I mean, we've been building from. Somebody said we've been building from 2002. We've been building from beyond that. And people like Pitso Mosimane tried to. People like Pitso Mosimane tried to speak about it, and they said he's big-headed. He wants a lot of money. What? That was not the case. He was just trying to say, South Africans, wake up. Wake up. We need help with the national team. The truth is, yes, the guy is trying. He's trying to find. How are you trying to find balance when each and every FIFA break you change players? How are you building? You are changing players. This week, this certain player is supposed to play against this certain player. The next FIFA break, you are changing this player. You are bringing in another player. So this person must now go back. You are changing him. He must go back now to playing against this other one. And then it's not working, guys. It's really not working. Let's wake up. Let's try something else. Bringing in the fresh guys. Let's bring in the old guys. Mix them. Play games. Don't wait for a FIFA break. Like, let's do something. Let's do something. Yeah.
Okay, Rubo. Sinje, welcome to the show. How are you doing, my brother?
Oh, man, I'm okay, man. Hey, I'm all right. I'm listening to you guys speaking here about this idiot called Hugo Boss. But anyway, I'm here.
Let's not call names, guys. Sinje, you're coming in fiery.
All right.
I want to
I'm
make it a
sorry.
bigger.
I'm here.
I want to make it a bigger
Yeah.
chat about national teams in general. Should we not
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
a stronger relationship between each of the national team levels?
No, no. It actually it's a good idea, but the problem is this: each and every coach is playing differently. Therefore, the players that they've selected to play, whether it's under 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 21, 30, under 23 to the big boys, each and every coach there has a different style of playing. So they selected those players to ensure that they execute the way they want to play. So I don't see them being at one page. Secondly, I don't think Hugo Boss is influential and respected by the coaches in South Africa. Mainly could be because of the silly utterances that he keeps on making, or there's something wrong with them. I don't foresee Hugo Boss calling a seminar, saying, I think probably maybe that should have been the start when he was appointed as head coach of Bafana, to call the coaches and call the PSL coaches, the under 23 coaches, and say, okay, this is the vision. Once he has that vision, this is the type of football that I want us to play as a national team. Then all the coaches then be off the same page to say, this is what I'm looking for from a goalkeeper, and profile all the positions that are on the starting 11. And then the coaches would actually ensure that when a player is selected to the national team, they know exactly why is he selected in the national team. So that they also, in a club level, to help him with certain qualities that they need to possess in the national team. You look at rugby. I'll look at Makazole Mapimpi. He wasn't playing the same football that he was playing at Sharks when he was playing for Border Bulldogs. Until the Springbok coach said, oh, listen, I want to use this player, but he lacks A, B, C, D, and E. And then they said, okay, where can he learn that? Then they sent him to the Sharks in order for him to develop as a winger that the national coach wants him to use in. We don't do that. We don't do that in soccer. We don't do that with our players because there's a disconnection between the national team coach and the coaches in the PSL. I don't know why. The same page they should be, so that we can help players. We should know a player, why is he not in the PSL? Why is he not in the Bafana setup? You should know. You should know that, okay, we didn't pick this one because he still lacks, as a coach, you say, no, he still lacks A, B, C, D, E, F, G, because you and the Bafana coach are on the same page. You are on the same page. And I think for Hugo Boss, and I agree with Miss Rivango, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing her name correctly, when she's saying, you need to learn what to say and how to say it. You need, for the betterment of the team, for the betterment of because this is our national team. It's not Hugo Boss, it's our team. We want to see this team moving forward. I agree with her as well to say, we cannot be boasting about the results now because we haven't played a credible nation, except Morocco. We are going to see now, when we are going to the AFCON, when we are going to meet DRC, I think, what are we meeting? We're meeting very good teams here. We are meeting Ivory Coast. Before that, we are meeting. It's a good. There's Nigeria. There's Rwanda there as well. So I think for me, I don't mind the players. I think I agree with Njabulo Plum. Every player that is there deserves to be there. Not all of them, but some deserve to be there. Yeah.
I think if I can just jump in there, I think for me, I don't want to make this about Hugo Bruce because Bafana currently is in a different place. We're getting ready for AFCON. I want to make it about South African football as a whole. And I think this goes back to the conversations we have a lot, even about the PSL, where it's about what does your organization want? I think we put so much on coaches' heads in order for them to be doing all of these things. It's almost like we want them to be setting the friendlies. We want them to be making sure under 23 is playing. We want them to develop players when they come in. We want them. They have to have a role, but then what does the organization bring? And I want to just strengthen the link, because those things help in many different ways. Selecting under 17s and under 19s, maybe 4 or 5 players to go with the Bafana team doesn't necessarily just help with 5 years down the line. That kid at 17 with a cap on his head, Bafana, could get better opportunities later down the line to go somewhere else, right? My issue with South African football is that it feels like we're building. We always say building, but there isn't a line, right? When you watch other national teams or the big national teams, you know that after Xavi comes this one. After this one comes Gavi. After this one comes Gavi. They track them from under 17, for example. It's not that all of them are going to be playing in the Spanish national team, but I can tell you who's the next Mokwena, who's the one before that. And those are the questions we need to ask about our national team structures. Can we do that at least? Maybe not even for them to play. And can we do that in the PSL, right? Who's the next midfielder? Are we watching them? Outside of SuperSport, making Campbell and those guys play. Who are the other people that we can point to in each position at every national team level and say, Yazdin, in 3 years' time, he's going to be killing everybody. And what type of building, quote unquote, development are we doing to make sure that that guy goes from that level to the next level to the next level, right? Which is why my next question, Malume Kuto, again, I want to expand this conversation, is what is the relationship between the national team structures and our leagues? So do the PSL teams know what SAFA as a whole is looking for when they brought in Hugo Bruce so that they're all in line? Should they be sitting in a committee all together? Should he be giving updates and saying, you know what, Chiefs, instead of me coming out and speaking about Chiefs and say, for example, I'm using it as an example, and saying that none of the players are ready, am I telling the teams, work on this and work on that and work on that, and then maybe you could feature at one time in my team? Are we making sure that at a national level, those under 17s that we speak about are getting time in the PSL or are getting the proper development in the PSL? To speak about those relationships, if you can touch on them there, Madam Kut.
All right, Mr. But sometimes I feel like we must call each other to order.
Yeah.
And then must or no. It doesn't work. Not that way. Firstly, the great Pitso Mosimane has always said, I don't need to beat Kaizer Chiefs. Because he knew he will beat Golden Arrows. So if we have a problem with beating Lesotho, it's actually 3 points when you beat Lesotho, and it's 3 points when you beat Morocco. Which we did beat Morocco and we did beat Ghana. And that is why we are going to AFCON, because we those small teams. And by the way, to get to Ghana, to get to the AFCON, we beat Morocco as well as Burundi, if my memory serves me right. So it wasn't small teams. And actually, every time there's a small game, there's a small team, Bo Gambia, Hugo Bros irritated, and you can see it in his face. You can see where Hugo Bros is irritated and he wants to leave the stadium immediately. But again, to address the question, Pirates on its own, over 30 players.
Yeah.
On its own. Pirates on its own can't field all of its players. Chiefs on its own, as much as they are doing badly, they can't field all of their players. They're still asking, why Machana on their own. Sundowns, we talk about Grand Kekana, who I believe is one of the best. They can't play him on their own. And now we want to come and dictate to them who they should play in order for international football is a different environment globally. From maybe we can say as South Africans we want to do something different. Unfortunately, Jose Rivero will be fired when Pirates do. He won't say, but being fired for which is on the national team, they will fire him. Molefi ntseki will be fired. Just You understand? So coaches need to know which players they want. They need to present plan of action to the FA. Yes, Safa is in shambles. I think we can all see, we can all agree. The fact that we don't have junior national team coaches, I don't know if people know this, that we actually don't have junior national team coaches. See hire a consultant.
Yeah.
When there's a game. Hey, Hellman, sibona ngathi ungayibamba lento, sicela uzocoach. Nini when Hellman has to come, we're like, oh, you don't have those qualifications. Azama omunye khona linye time about uraburedi asimfonele. That is actually what's happening in Coco Sav. So when coaches come in, they know that environment. They have to know which Esan, Yapet, South Africa. It's in shambles. And they have to present to Wuti with all the mess that's going on. This is how I plan to succeed. You understand? And
yeah.
Guys, Ukhrutman Lil Pezulu, Usinje, just suggest mentioned Wuti Kanakimang Mapimpi was moved from one team to another for him to improve in a specific aspect. Do we really see that happen in Wuti? We want to take out Shabalala from Chiefs and take him to Pirates so that he can improve. Is it an achievable game? Is it something that's achievable, guys, in football?
Or maybe not necessarily that, but think of, for example, in England, there's the homegrown rule. So you have to have X amount of English players of a certain age in your squad. We're forcing you. And then you have to figure out how to put them in and do all those things, right?
Can I tell you, in SA, we have an even stiffer rule. You're only allowed 5 foreign players. It means the rest of the team is South African.
No, but I mean for the youth specifically, because I know they'd put that in the first division. But in the EPL had vision enough. It might not work perfectly, but they said to the teams, you cannot be an EPL team unless you reach this quota of English players that are this age. You know, they even fight over them. Get the transfer window. That's why they're so expensive, blah, 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 all of that. But isn't there a way for us, and even if it's not to say that you must play these players, but even just a reporting system. I know in New Zealand, they have a database where they have all the players that play in New Zealand, and then even on your own, you can come in and they'll tell you, for you to play for the All Blacks, we have assessed you and you need to work on 1, 2, and 3. You get what I mean? For you to be selected or whatever, for me to see value in you. They work, SA Rugby has the Council of Coaches, where all of them have that input into what makes the national team, but then also how we can, as the clubs, also help. So maybe I'm not able to help as a Mamelodi Sundowns like this, maybe as the Chess Galaxy, but we all have input on what we can all do. Do we have those type of relationships? Because for me, it scares me when Atazwane can come out and say, he just calls players. He hasn't warned us. He hasn't told us. He hasn't done anything. We haven't spoken to him. It scares me when Bruce comes out and says, oh yeah, Chiefs players are not good enough. Great. Maybe for the media, great. But then have we spoken to Chiefs? Maybe to Molefi Ntseki, who is only having lunch with now, to say, Molefi, I like Usbanban. How about, can we see where you can improve them in this way, or can we speak? Do we have those type of relationships?
It's very difficult to have them because Umkulu, when he came into this country, he tried. And I remember after a press conference or two, he said, I'm disappointed in these coaches because I invited them to come and talk to me, Kaka, this national team. He actually tried to prepare an Imbizonyan. And no one showed up. And when he voiced out, they were like, no, but we didn't receive the invite. Only to find out the letter is somewhere Kosafa gathering dust. That Hugo Bros it. Hugo Bros, guys, he has tried. South Africa.
No, the thing is, I don't want to make it about Hugo Bros because I know he's in a situation. Just in general, are we doing that? Under 23, is there somebody at under 23 who's coming to Kaizer Chiefs and saying, Mara guys, agadali, can we try to figure out something, Is there somebody that's doing, you get what I mean? Those type of things, and it might not be perfect, but do we even have it?
I know it sounds like I'm talking about Hugo Bros because I'm very passionate when it comes to him. And Thabo, I will confirm, I'm a huge fan. I'm very passionate, but right now he's a mere example.
Okay.
So basically, what I'm laying down is that we have people coming from outside who have tried to facilitate those relationships between teams and the national team and the organization. However, the organization has failed us in that even when there have been attempts, they've failed to send a mere email to our national team, to our local teams. They understand. If someone is going to say the national team coach doesn't even tell us what he has selected someone, surely that is a purely administrative issue. It is a purely administrative issue. Please send the letter to Chiefs. We want Mduduzi Shabalala. We want Mosimane to come through. That is purely administrative. The coach should just write names down and say, guys, please inform the teams that I want the following people. There is no way a coach is Oshala and call all teams. I don't see that happening. And if that happens, it would be courteous of him to do that. But there should be an administration. So in Kinga, for me, it sounds like it's coming from the organization more than correct. Even when there's an attempt to say, please get these people in. I want to talk to them. The things we are all talking about here in this group right now, in this live chat, they have been tried. They have been jotted down. People have drafted letters. The letter just has not been sent.
I think that's the, but I'll come back. My only disagreement with you is I know Safa has weaknesses and all of that stuff. It's the same thing that I speak about when I say Atazwane, for example, at Kaizer Chiefs. You didn't take the job with your eyes closed. And in the 2 years and the 3 years, yes, you've done well or whatever, but you're okay with it. If I can, it almost feels like they're complicit in whatever's happening because it's carrying on happening. You're still earning your salary. You're still doing whatever. You get what I mean? I commend him for doing very well, but I feel like there's way too many people within our structures, coaches, everybody, that you can see something's wrong, you know something's wrong, but collect your salary, fight on the field, fight to try to get something right on the field so you don't get fired, and then they just keep doing that. But I'll come back.
Mr. Ochi, I'm sorry I'm doing this. There's just one point.
Yeah.
Corey, you close the door for it. But I just want to say, at some point, England had like the 3 musketeers. I just forgot the third guy.
Okay.
One was Jesse Lingard. The other one was the guy who was talking about his problems. Yeah, so already threats right now. The former Tottenham Hotspur player. I just forgot.
Oh, Dele Alli.
Dele Alli. It was Jesse Lingard, Dele Alli. He liberated the other slender guy. Today they are nowhere to be seen. So sometimes players can fall off. Those guys with the future of English football. Jack Wilshere is another one. And they just went off the rails. I'll just remember that. That's all I wanted to pass.
But remember, then they went and found a Rashford. They went and developed a Bellingham. They went and found a Saka. Fine, they fell off, but they kept producing and kept. You get what I mean? Tina, I don't think we have that in us. That Penny's gone. Have we developed another Penny? You know what I mean? And I feel like those teams in Europe work in concert with each other. So Arsenal works in concert with the FA, in concert with the national team to go, okay, here's Saka, he's 17, you know, let's figure out ways to have him play and get to a point. Let's figure out how to have, I don't know, Ward-Prowse or whoever. You get me? Like, I feel like there's an effort from everybody and they're working in unison for the good of whatever country they're in. But with us, it feels as though everybody is separate, but then also everybody's pointing fingers at everybody. And I think at some point, all of these people have to be held accountable because, guys, the PSL can't say these are constraints only. Meanwhile, they do sign all the older players. They do all these things. So clearly the will is not there. SAFA can't say PSL is doing this because SAFA itself doesn't have games for under 23s, under 17s, under 19s. You know what I mean? These ones can't say that because in their own control, they're not able to do it. But I don't want to, let me let everybody else in quickly. Otto, what even was the question? Can you just refresh me there? Where were we?
And the teams and national teams.
Otto, does the national teams and national structures have relationships with the PSL that can make sure that these things work? Because for me, it feels like it's two separate people. They don't want to speak. They don't want to, and it's hurting players. It's hurting the national team. It's hurting even the PSL to a degree.
Well, looking at the situation right now, I don't think there is such a thing because maybe they have tried it, it didn't work out. Because you have issues, like you said, with Zwane saying that players are just being called. He doesn't know anything about that. But for now, there is no such a thing, and it is very bad for South African football. Because now, if we don't have that relationship, which means the coach is just watching those players, scouting those players up there while he's watching in the stadium. He doesn't have that relationship with the coach where the coach will tell him and give him the full information which he needs to know about the player. He's just watching them there and say, okay, I need this one. And it comes to what point? To the point that he is choosing his favorite players, which in a way that he knows these players. That is why he keeps on calling the same players, because he already has that information. Maybe he gathered that information before the first time he came here in South Africa. And now I think Abuti Kucho is focusing on these wins. What about the future? He's just focusing on these wins. Yes, we are winning those. We won those games, those past games, and we lost only 3 games. But then what's going to happen if HUGO Bros starts losing these games, or if he doesn't win the AFCON Cup and he gets fired? What's going to happen? We're going to appoint another coach, right? After appointing another coach, what's going to happen to that coach again? The coach will try the same thing, and with what kind of players, which players? He's going to come up with his own players again, and then they have to start the same thing again. But if they had a relationship, Safa and the coaches, they will tell him, okay, and introduce everyone and make a plan to reach out in those teams and make a plan to say, okay, coach, these are the teams in South Africa. This is the top flight, PSL, this is PSL, and these are the coaches. And then the coaches will go through each and every player, rather than just saying, okay, HUGO Bruce is in the stadium watching the game there and chooses those players. And then there are no emails sent, there's no communication sent. They are just choosing those players. That's a bit of a problem. I don't think there's any relationship, and it's very wrong, and it's impacting us.
Okay, no, thank you, my brother. Rivo, I struggle, man, because it feels as though our football is separate camps and everybody lives in their own camp, and that kills players. Sometimes some players can't be released. Sometimes, we don't know what it's going to take for my player to make it into the national team. We don't know if Bruce communicates like that. We don't know if he can. It just feels separate. Tell me about this relationship between the PSL and the national structures in general as well, outside of Bruce, for example. Is there a relationship at all there?
I don't think there is a relationship, and purely because there's no vision from the organization. I don't see any vision, because for him to go to media and speak the way he speaks, says there's no relationship whatsoever, or there's nothing that suggests otherwise. Each and every team, we just see it on the media that, oh, okay, so and so has been selected. And because if there was a vision, this is my thing. If we had somebody from the SAFA who had the vision of maybe the next 10 years, right? We were gonna say, okay, this is our 10-year plan. We need only one coach. So we need one coach for under 17, under 19, under 23, and Bafana. These coaches must work hand in hand, right? With the PSL coaches as well. They need, because right now there's no communication. And with no communication or no good relationship being there, therefore, how are you going to even ask for advice with certain players or with each and every? Because if there was a relationship, it was going to be easy for Hugo or for any coach in the national team to kind of go back to the PSL coach and say, hey, listen, I picked so and so for this reason. How do you do it? I saw so and so play like this on a match you played against TS Galaxy, for an example. How can I also speak to him in order for him to kind of maybe play like this in the national team? If there was some kind of communication, I think the national team would actually play better and we would get proper results. But at this point in time, I don't see any and it's important for that communication, because imagine if we had only one coach for the development, and then we have one coach for Bafana, and then these coaches have a relationship with the PSL coaches, and there's a relationship with the SAFA board and everybody. It was going to be perfect. It was honestly going to be perfect. Look how easy it was for it was not easy. I'm just going to say it was easy, but it was not easy for Coach Desiree to build Banyana. But because she's been there for long, and it's always been her and her people around her, her assistant coaches and whatever, it looks like it's easy for her. Because she's been there for quite a long time, and she has a relationship with Coach Desiree. Has a relationship with coaches, because why? She doesn't have a relationship with Safa. So she has a relationship with these other coaches these girls are playing for. So it seems like it's a organization problem. It's not necessarily a one person problem. It's just there's no communication whatsoever. There isn't.
Okay. Sinjay, speak about the relationship between the PSL, not just the PSL, let's say all of the NPSL, the whole structure, and the national teams and the national structure. How can we not have certain relationships between these teams, between these structures?
Because first of all, the SAFA is not run by people that have played football before. And I think that is what Dr. Kumalo was trying to say. If you could get veterans that have been, why the hell is Lucas Khanye not part and parcel of some? Why is Dr. Kumar not part and parcel of that structure? If you look at when Banyana had problems, you could hear players that they are the ones that have a solution for the national team. Because I'll give an example. Even Lucas was saying, you should have the same contract for every single player that is representing your country, be it rugby, be it cricket, be it soccer, irrespective of gender. We should not be talking about issues of contracts and stuff like that at the national level. And you could hear that because the sports is being run by people that never played sport before. They don't have the vision. They don't have the pride of the team. They don't have, and as, I don't know how English states this. They don't have that feeling that makes them tick because they love the sport. They want to do the sport. When SAFA was run by people that are actually soccer driven, that's when they were doing good. That's when they won the AFCONs and stuff, and all of it went to FIFA because at the helm of SAFA was people that actually love the sport, love soccer, have soccer in mind. And I hear a lot of people are saying, hey, HUGO Boss's administration is very poor.
Okay.
That man's administration is very poor. It is not just a Chiefs local PSL, even international. He is having fights with clubs. St. Louis, where Bob is playing there, there was even FIFA had to come in and intervene because of the poor administration when FIFA intervened, they looked and told him that his administration is poor. But others, I know who you mentioned now, you write an email. There must be a response to say noted, and an email writing back to you. How do you announce a player when it's not even written to you to say, we've acknowledged your email, we've received it, thank you for being our player? For just simple, that does not change. It's not Safa that does that. He is the one that is at the helm of his own administration as a coach. Now, going back to Safa and the relationships between Safa and PSL coaches and PSL structures as well, and I agree with Usiswam underneath me that if we are not binded by the same common goal, we will definitely pull separate ways. It's simple. If we don't have the same direction, we will be pulling in different directions. The only way we can save our football and save Safa is if each and every person, from the first one to the last one, have the same purpose, the same idea, the same goal, the same meaning, the same desire for our team, and the same status that we want our national team to belong in. When we don't do that, icon. And lastly, I believe that our national team should be driven by a South African. This thing of this international foreign coaches in our national team, I don't like them.
I think if I can jump in quickly, I think again it all comes down to the common goal. And you know when you watch our rugby, when you watch how some European countries move when it comes to like their football and things like that, you can tell, Guti, it's fine that we have our fights, we have our disagreements, we have all of that stuff, But at the end of the day, let's make sure that as a whole, English football, American football, Spanish football, or whatever, let's make sure that we've got a common goal. My issue is that the PSL, and this is where I share the responsibility of all of this stuff. The PSL wants to be successful on their own and say that it's the PSL that did it. The SAFA wants to be successful on its own and say that no, we didn't need the help from PSL. We did it on our own. X person wants to be successful on their own, and then they all do things separately. When you look at the other sports, man, just look at our neighbor sports, rugby, cricket, and all those things. There's a council of coaches in rugby. So every single coach of a rugby team, a top flight rugby team, sits with the coach. They have a council where they discuss all of this stuff. They have representation from all over the place, where they all sit down and they go, how can we all together make this thing right? How can we all together produce more players? How can we all together make sure that everything is done? I made the example of New Zealand. New Zealand on its own, I don't know if the system is still running now, but on its own, there was a system where me, as a registered player, I can log into the system and the system will tell me, you are lacking here, 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 and here, and here. You are number 4 in my list. As the national team coach, you're number 4. For you to beat this guy, I need you to be better at this and do this and do this and work on this in conjunction with the teams, right? So you can tell that there is a love and a genuine want for this thing to be the best in the world. But the problem is that with South African soccer, there's no want, guys. There's no want. There's no reason why there shouldn't be an under 17, 19, under 21, and 23 coach. Furthermore, those coaches should be sitting with HUGO Bruce right now. I was watching the COSAFA Cup games. Ramurebuli comes in from Botswana, coaches the SAFA team, speaks to HUGO Bruce for that little time, flies back. Surely, even in that case, if these are players that might make it into Bafana or are being looked at, you'd have that coach sitting full-time with HUGO Bruce, let alone the other coaches, right? You'd sit with the PSL teams. You'd make those things, you'd make those choices together. You'd make, I don't understand. And this is where on a separate thing, this is where I hold people accountable on their own. I'm going to use the example of Atazwani. Atazwani, you know exactly what Kaizer Chiefs is, right? As an example. You know exactly what Kaizer Chiefs is. You know Bobby. You know that you're not going to get transfers, all that. You know the pressure that's going to come with Kaizer Chiefs fans. You know all that stuff. So when you took that job, you should have known all these things are going to follow you. And I must hold you accountable for you not knowing those things are going to follow you, right? Or not having a plan. You have to know all this. Like, oh, guys, I could speak for a long time about this stuff, but that's what grinds my gears more than anything, right? Hugo Bruce has to fight for his life. He has to coach for his life and win every single game, pretty much on an island. You get what I mean? Those players that are coming up have to become better, have to play better, improve, all of that stuff on an island. Because Hugo might not pick me because of X, Y, and Z issues with Kaizer Chiefs. For example, let me just say that Hugo might not pick me for that. But also my team might not play me and go find a 29-year-old, a 30-year-old who's going to come in to my place and do this. Then when I go play for my national team, under 23, under 17, under 19, we hardly play games. Remember, under 23 at a tournament right now where all of them were just put together on the day. I think it was David Notoane, who's a full-time coach, Sundowns, has to come in and quickly put these players together to go play a tournament. They haven't played any friendlies. They haven't done anything. So really, we're hurting our players at the end of the day. We're hurting them. Forget about everybody else. But anyway, Malome Kutso, can you give me a closing statements for tonight?
Bros. Guys, I just want to say, you are actually right. Somewhere, somehow, some teams, some countries, they do work ka code A1. And I think I've seen it Germany. We laugh at that league and call it a farmers league. But players who perform well in the German league are promoted to the main team, the A team that represents them and that prepares players for the German team, and that's Bayern Munich. What brought my attention to that was when Thomas Muller called Bo Gundogan, Bo Kanakemang Real Madrid, and he said that many players have to be playing for Bayern Munich. So there is that culture, and since they've somewhat moved away from it, you can see Germany is struggling. Another example is Spain. Spain can call a player as Galang, Getafe or Villarreal, and immediately when that boy joins the national team, he understands possession football like nobody's business. You are dominated by players as Galang, Bonabo Villarreal, when we expected Bo Barca, Bo Madrid to dominate the national team. So in some countries, I can see that it works. But please, guys, let's give the old man a chance. The old man has done us proud. We need to move away from being afraid of the truth. I think in SA, we compromise the truth so much for irrespect, which is why Jordaan are able to do what they do and get away with it, which is why we are experiencing more stage 6 load shedding. Because when you talk to the president or whoever, you have to first respect them, you have to check your words before you actually tell them, Raymond, now, why is it like this? What are you doing? You understand? Because you can't just hold a press conference as a minister and say, this president happened, because somehow you'll be told, who would say, hi, that's the quorum, will just shout at journalists for asking the relevant questions because somehow that journalist lacks respect. You understand? I would love for us as a country to move away from that form of respect and move towards the truth. If Chiefs players are not performing, guys, don't get angry. I'm always on these lives, and Chiefs fans are not happy. Suddenly, you are hurt that this guy is confirming what you've always said. One more thing on a lighter note, what I've noticed about European coaches, they're very superstitious. I had a coach, rocked the same shirt when he won until the wheels fall.
King, that pink thing, that pink or salmon or whatever.
You rock that shirt until Pep Guardiola, he has his own clothes that he rocks when he's winning. He only changes when the result doesn't go properly. And I think Hugo Bros when he looks at Nico Mobi, he's like a child.
Lucky job.
Yeah, don't question Nico Mobi too much. Everyone else is there by married. Nico Mobi is like a lucky charm. He's like, this guy is here to make it. Thank you,
Yeah.
Mr.
No, thank you so much, Malume Kutso. Otto, closing statements for tonight.
So, bruh. On my side, I think SAFA needs some changes, and we don't have to sugarcoat. If something is wrong, something is wrong. And we all can see that. We need guys like your Dr. Kumalos, people who know football, who know the struggle, who won actually the AFCON, you see. Your Lucas Radebes, we need some changes in our South African football because we can't carry on like this. We need a development. We need all those kind of things. And I don't think we can blame Hugo Bruce that much. It might be his fault in a sense of calling those players out. But then in terms of the relationship and building, we need people who know football because we can't carry on like this. I think the issue here is with SAFA. Yeah, that's my point. We need some changes. And if we can be vocal and if the message can get up there, maybe there would be changes. We don't know.
Okay, no. Thank you so much, my brother, for joining me. Rivo, closing statements for tonight?
I think we still have a long way to go, but yeah, if there's one thing that South Africa understands, sadly, is social media. I think let's keep preaching change to SAFA. The only sad part is the cancel culture, in South Africa that we have. In South Africa, if you are known for speaking the truth and voicing your opinions out, they will cancel you out. Either you're not going to get gigs or you're not going to. So that's hence people are even scared to voice these things out. Like we had an issue with Banyana the other day, and there's certain broadcasters who spoke about it, and yeah, the treatment they got after that, it was horrible. It was horrible. So hopefully we can hope for change in the future. But yeah, let's see. We're gonna give the old man a chance. We're gonna give the old man a chance. Let's see how it. I, for one, I'm gonna go to the match on. I'm gonna go to the match on Saturday, and I'm gonna go to the match on Tuesday. I think they're playing again Tuesday. I think, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go and see how he handles the whole thing and how he planned the whole thing. I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt. But yeah, as for Safa, we still have a long way to go. We need young minds there. I think it's not about people who know football. It's another thing to know something, but we need young minds as well. People who can think for the future. We need. Yeah, let's get people who go to education and do this thing, learn this thing, have a qualification to say, okay, I have learned this, I love this. You know what? We lack love, man. People at SAFA don't have the love for football. If they loved football as much as we love football, I think it would have been a different story. But I think they're there for the money. It's political thing. South African, everything is just run by politics and whatever. But yeah. Okay. Let's hope for the best.
Thank you so much, Rivo, for joining me. Sinje, closing statements for tonight.
Thank you.
Yeah. My closing statements for tonight: Hugo Boss, leave Kaizer Chiefs alone. That's the first one. Second one, good luck on the night. I am not like Riv. I'm not going to go watch Bafana. I'm not going to do that. I pray and I hope that SAFA will get their act together on a serious note. I hope they get their act together, because It's another thing being disappointed on the field. It's another thing being disappointed at the administration and structure of our football federation. We can't be a country such as ourselves with the brains that we have an organization that is poorly run, such as SAFA. I think it's time for a change. Maybe when we change administratively, we would see the impacts on the field. But we must just leave Kaizer Chiefs alone. You must not stop. You must stop lying here and saying our players don't deserve a call up. Come on now. Come on. You've got Moto that is there, that is only made 13 saves. 24 saves on 27 shots, and you're telling me that the boy doesn't deserve to be in the list. Don't come and lie here. Don't come and lie here. Don't even dare to lie. We are going to put him out.
Okay.
But anyway, have a good night, guys.
Thank you for joining me, my brother. For me, closing statements. Look, man, the old man qualified us for AFCON. He should be allowed to do what he needs to do to go win. If he feels like Mobi is the best player for him, go ahead. The results will tell you. So if the results turn out bad, you live and die by your decisions and all of that. I just also think that, this is where PR training, really knowing your audience is very important, right? I think he didn't need to say much. He didn't need to go into any detail. Hey, Chiefs is +4 and +6 and not. You didn't have to go into that. You could have just said, look, guys, this is the team I've chosen. This is the team I want, and it's fine. You move on with it. But the moment you start doing those things, then we find out that on top of that, also Motsepe, now you have to go have lunches because you were trending, not understanding that your audience is a certain way. These things are very important in taking these jobs. But in any case, guys, I think SAFA will always be a problem. I think the PSL also has a ton of problems within it. And I just wish my wish for South African football is that we go back to just loving South African football. We go back to just doing things that can help players get better, chances, opportunities, help players grow, help whoever is the national team coach do well, help whoever is whatever coach of whatever team. I think a lot of our problems we lump onto coaches' heads. I think a lot of the time, I've had this convo before where I've said that we believe that coaches are the be-all and end-all of everything, when we should really be questioning the rest of the structures and what are they doing. There's tons of people employed at SAFA. There's tons of people employed at our football teams. There's tons of people employed at developments and all of that stuff. And the question is, on a day-to-day basis, what are those people doing on a day-to-day basis in order to make our football go forward? And it's very easy for us to scapegoat the coach, but let's start asking bigger questions about all of the different structures within our football. Anyway, guys, thank you for joining me. Monday to Friday, 12:30 in the afternoon. Monday to Wednesday, 8 p.m. I'm here. If you do miss out on any of the chats and you want to see what had been said in previous shows, you can head on over to Facebook. You can head on over to YouTube and follow there. The links are in this TikTok profile. So follow all the pages. Watch the previous episodes. Watch the other content that I put up on the different pages. And yeah, we can go from there. Thank you so much for joining me, guys. Thank you for the support. Thank you, Kumo, for the gifts that you sent to the commenters and the gifts that you sent to me too. Yeah, guys, I'll see you then tomorrow, 12:30.